Welcome to Procurement FM, where we dive deep into the essential skills for modern supply professionals. Today's episode is titled, 5 Skills Procurement Professionals Must Know.
Okay, so let's dive right in. We're looking at, the 5 core skills that really take someone from just buying stuff to being a strategic player, the kind of expert ready for those big C-suite conversations. And we're starting right at the heart of it, the contract.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because this first one, advanced negotiation and contract management, it's almost become a high-level legal skill now. It's really moved way beyond just, haggling over the price.
That's a huge shift, isn't it? When you get into high-risk buys or these really long-term deals, the complexity just skyrockets. It demands a kind of legal know-how that, frankly, wasn't always needed maybe 10 years back.
Exactly right. For those complex deals, negotiations often involve sorting out non-compliance issues with the terms before anything's even signed. The buyer, they just can't be passive anymore. They have to be right in there, fully informed, navigating all that legal stuff to head off problems later, not just reacting. Okay, but having a watertight contract is one thing. What if procurement is still stuck in its own silo? That brings us to skill number 2, I think, strategic business integration.
This is all about connecting what procurement does directly to the company's main strategy, or, the strategy of a specific business unit. A really key example is getting aligned with sales and operations planning SOP.
SOP, right. For anyone less familiar, that's basically the process for balancing what sales thinks it can sell with what operations can actually supply. Yeah, making one plan.
Precisely. It creates that single integrated business plan.
But hang on, that sounds like it could involve big, expensive systems. What if you're, say, a medium-sized company? How do you get that integration without a massive ERP system overhaul?
Well, ERP systems, those big platforms integrating finance, manufacturing, logistics, all that they are, definitely the gold standard for making it seamless. But the core idea really is about sharing data. Strategic procurement has to feed information, like capacity constraints or material costs, into those planning cycles. That's what shapes the overall business plan. The systems just make it easier, faster.
In getting that data and making it work, that probably depends heavily on the next skill, supplier relationship management, or SRM, and partnering. Moving away from that old adversarial view, right? Seeing suppliers as, partners who can give you an edge.
Absolutely. World-class procurement really needs those strong long-term supplier relationships.
Yeah.
We see partnerships driven by technology, maybe co-developing a new product together, or they might be more logistics focused, like just-in-time delivery, sort of partnerships of convenience sometimes.
I get the strategic upside, definitely. But doesn't shifting to partnering weaken your hand when you need to run a competitive bid? How do you sell that idea internally and to the suppliers?
You sell it by focusing on the win-win, especially things like joint cost reduction programs. When you work together to find savings, both sides benefit, and that proves the relationship adds more value than just squeezing them on price ever could.
Okay, makes sense. Skill 4 feels incredibly relevant right now with global supply chains and tech dependencies, risk management and market intelligence. Because when things go wrong in the supply chain, procurement's usually first in the firing line.
Oh, absolutely. And the risks are really broad. It could be a massive supplier failure like bankruptcy or a sudden shortage of a key material. Or it could be smaller, but still painful, deviations, late deliveries, quality problems, getting the wrong volume.
So what's the real difference then between just reacting when a risk hits and actually managing it?
Management is about being proactive. It's based on constantly monitoring what's happening out there in the market, external factors. That intelligence then informs your strategy. Maybe you decide to dual source a critical component just in case. Or you hold extra safety stock because of geopolitical uncertainty.
So it's that continuous scanning, that intelligence work, that lets you get ahead of problems.
Exactly. That's the key to minimizing your exposure.
All right, finally, skill number 5, cost and value analysis, VAVE. This sounds like where procurement really shows its professional contribution to the bottom line.
It absolutely is. Value analysis, value engineering, it's about systematically finding ways to get the same function, the same performance, but at a lower total cost. It's less about just pushing the price down and more about fundamentally rethinking the product's cost structure from the ground up.
And procurement needs to lead this, right? Not just participate.
Yes, they really should be insisting on chairing and managing these VAVE projects, especially when a big chunk of the product's value comes from bought-in parts or materials.
Yeah.
You need the right team controlling experts from finance, design engineers, procurement, all working together. Procurement owns the cost structure for what's purchased.
Okay, so there we have it. The 5 pillars for the truly strategic professional. Top-tier negotiation and contract skills, deep strategic integration with the business, real supplier partnering through SRM, proactive risk management fueled by intelligence, and rigorous value analysis.
It's definitely a demanding skill set. It requires ongoing development for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe, before we wrap up, here's something provocative to leave you with. One source we looked at suggested that companies invest up to 9 times more in training their sales teams compared to their procurement teams.
9 times more. Wow. That suggests a huge, maybe even structural gap in developing the very talent needed to master these 5 critical C-suite level skills we've just discussed. Makes you think, doesn't it? Which of these 5 areas is your organization perhaps neglecting when it comes to really investing in its procurement talent?